As part of my gap year, I wanted to do something which was not cushy. What I ended up doing was going to India, traveling for a month around Rajasthan, so Agra, Delhi, Jaisalmer, Jaipur, those kind of places. Staying in hostels, meeting travelers, that was a lot of fun. And then 2 months of it I spent in the state of Bihar, in a village called Chakia, teaching at a place called Levana Public School. Sushil Kumar is this remarkable man who grew up in Chakia and who went away for a bit and made it big in the mining industry, and then came back to set up a school with William Ralston Saul, who was a colleague of his. And they're now co-founders of Levana Public School, which is far and away the best school in the region. We went by plane. We were met at the airport, Sushil and I. We were met by a chauffeur who drove us. We stopped off for a bite to eat along the way, which, like all the food of that region, was very spicy, but quite good. I mean, you just have to, you acclimatise and you drink lots of water and it's fine. And then we got there and I was introduced to the 3 members of my host family. That was Wakil, the father, Rita, the mother, and Priti, the daughter. And they were just the most wonderful people. They were absolutely magnificent.
So I've been travelling for about a month in India before I met Sam, and because I was meant to be doing some volunteering work in a national park, and then I was in Nepal for sort of a month, and I got told a week before I was meant to start that actually it wasn't going to work anymore. So I just sort of sent him a message being like, well, do you think I could come? And luckily the director of the school was sort of, yeah, sure, we can have more people. So I sort of showed up at 2 in the morning in the middle of this village in the middle of nowhere, and then shared a room with him for about a month.
The reaction of the children towards me was I guess, like to how they might be if they received a new toy. So I came and there was a surge of interest in who I was and the fact that I looked different.
Hey dude, how are you? How are you?
The co-founder, William Ralston Saul, has told me that he thinks he was the first European these kids had ever seen. The morning assembly basically consisted of all the kids, which at the time was about 400 or so, lining up in rows according to year group in the yard and singing the national anthem and being read out a set of notices for the day, and also being treated to a kind of thought of the day from one of the students.
Good morning to all of you. I am Ankush Kumar from class 6. Today I am going to say thought. A smiling face always signs happiness. Thank you.
And then following that, we would file in and have morning lessons. And there'd always be a chorus of, "Good morning, Mr. Samsa," and I'd say good morning and tell everyone to sit down. And we would begin with the lesson. And that was the other great selling point of Levana for me. The fact that there was no syllabus.
You can teach whatever you like, they don't really mind. I did lessons on the Tudors, I did geography lessons, I had them creating their own country, it just didn't matter.
The idea is that you teach them stuff which they'll be interested in and which they'll engage in, and you teach them in English and the English will just rub off and they'll learn it conversationally.
They have quite a lot of teachers who are sort of fluent in English, but it's a very kind of Indian English. It's not a sort of comprehensive understanding of the language.
We did lots of Doctor's Use, we did lots of kind of math puzzles, which was a lot of fun, like kind of magic squares. We did magic tricks, that kind of thing. I even taught them that.
It's just another aspect, another culture, another sort of way of looking at things that they get to experience, which otherwise they wouldn't.
William Ralston Saul, the co-founder, Lavender, his mother, and Max, his son, were all going to be arriving, and this was made a really big deal of, and they made a holiday of it, and they said that one of the competitions that would be judged, and for which the prize would be given on the day, would be an essay writing competition. And so, to the extent that it was possible, I tried to kind of run debates about animal cruelty, women's rights, the existence of God, these kind of things.
Instead of being told from a textbook, this is what you have to learn and you get a test on it, You know, we were really trying to get them to kind of think for themselves and come up with their own, you know, be creative.
The main thing in the afternoon is sport. There's a big, long game session. This is basically a long kickabout. It's a kind of free-for-all.
They put a lot of trust in us, and they were also very happy to listen to our ideas. And, I mean, one of the things I was trying to get sorted was looking at disabilities, learning disabilities, because there's really not much understanding of things like dyslexia in the schools, and there were students who were obviously struggling. So I then went away and came up with a kind of Word document on different learning disabilities and how you recognise them and things. And then, you know, the teacher would look at them and be like, oh, yeah, no, that kind of makes sense now. And then we can try and sort of figure out a way to teach them so they actually learn rather than being left behind. So there really is scope to make a difference.
I really think that the benefit which gap year students bring to Levana is invaluable, actually. And not just academically, but also in the sense that it broadens the horizons of these kids, most of whom who have never left their immediate village, have certainly never gone to Delhi, much less travelled to Europe. It's an eye-opener. It gives the sense that there's an entire world out there.
Levana was great because it was just a really sort of authentic and unique experience. You know, you didn't feel like anyone had really done this before or sort of anyone really knew what they were doing, but it meant you had a lot of freedom to kind of pick and choose what you wanted to do.
It really suits someone who doesn't mind spending time by themselves.
You have a lot of spare time, so it's good to find something to sort of entertain yourself. You know, you could use that spare time to work at the school if you wanted to, or you could do your own thing. Sam did quite a lot of writing. I did a bit of studying for my Cambridge interviews. So it's kind of, you have time in the day to do what you want to do, but you don't have to be bored. There's kids playing cricket out on the field. I just went out and joined them for a game. You know, you can do whatever you like. There's not much to spend money on anyway, because you have accommodation and you're getting fed every day. But you know, if we wanted a new toothbrush or anything, they'd have been horrified if we even thought to pay for it. So it didn't cost us anything actually the whole time I was teaching there. And they even paid for our transport there and back. They would have paid for our transport there and back from Delhi. So you could quite literally just pay for your flights there and back from India, and everything else would be paid for. Sushil has a flat in Delhi that he'd more than happily put you up in. So you didn't even have to find anywhere to stay. And even Sam in he had a week-long break because they did Diwali. And you know, they paid for him to go to Nepal.
Because Levana, one of its main advantages, one of its selling points to potential gap year students, I'd say, is that it's really near Nepal, and so it's very easy to go up and explore. And so the day they broke up, I went up to Kathmandu. It takes about a day, but it's basically fine. And around the second or third day, I met a guy who had done a bungee jump and who had been terrified of doing it, but who was delighted that he had done it and said it was the most fun he'd ever had in his life, basically. And that was just the seed that began to grow in my mind. It's one of those things which you sign yourself up for blindly, and then you just have to kind of stifle your panic, and then it's just a great experience to have had.
Go! You know, there's a game between United and Chelsea, and I really want United to win.
Ladies and gentlemen, can everybody hear me? And indeed understand me? Well, I've been asked to say a few words in English. I hope that's all right. I was taken out to a wedding in my last weekend in Chakia, and like all Indian weddings, it was incredibly colourful, incredibly lively, lots of people, lots of food, and I was taken, and suddenly I was kind of swarmed, and the response was, "Ooh, look at this guy! You know, this guy, minor celebrity has come," which is completely ridiculous, but that was kind of how it was, and I ended up going through this amazing experience of giving a best man speech at this wedding for a couple I'd never met. Well, I wish them the best of luck tonight, from the bottom of my heart and all the way from England. Thank you. All right. I'll give them...
Sam and I went to this fair. I think it's like the second largest livestock market in the world. This is in the middle of Bihar where no tourists go, and we were just getting followed around by sort of 40, 50 Indians. And I think if you're just there by yourself or a bit sort of self-conscious, it can be a bit nerve-wracking. But we would just sort of make a joke about it.
Head, shoulders, knees and toes, knees and toes. Head, shoulders, knees and toes, knees and toes.
My mother, being quite a hands-on person, decided that she wanted to come to Levana just for a few days. I think she ends up staying 3 days. So came in, met the headmistress.
You show me what English you're reading.
She succeeded in uniting the entire school in a massive hokey-cokey dance, with poor old me playing the piano. She also completely fell in love with it, not just India, but also, I mean, specifically the school, and really liked Sushil and really liked the work they were doing. Like lots of India, there's a bit of a litter problem, which Sushil, in his way, is trying to change in Czechia. He wants to implement a system of having sweepers just sweep up the year round, who will be paid for by Levana itself at some point. And even when I was there, at the weekends towards the end, they were going on long symbolic marches through Czechia, everyone with brooms, with a massive bin liner.
I don't think there's anyone quite like Sushil, to be honest. He's full of energy, full of ideas, and he sort of somehow makes it all work. And, you know, he wants his students to go on to university and go on and do the same kind of thing that he's done, basically. When you're trying to find volunteer things, when you look online on Google and things, they're all stuff where you have to pay a certain amount per month, and it's all very structured and organised. And actually, I think it's not really worthwhile, because all you're doing is taking jobs away from local people. Whereas what was really nice about Levana is that they had a lot of local teachers and they were doing a lot for the local economy, but they wanted a couple at a time, maybe a few more, sort of English-speaking gap year students that had lots of energy and ideas and could just bring something new that wasn't taking away from anything that anyone else could do, but just adding something more.
Twinkle, twinkle, little star, how I wonder what you are.
It was a sad moment to leave, but just as when I'd arrived, they had a big ceremony for me leaving as well, probably, you know, to celebrate. But
I'd love the chance to go back there whenever I can. I'm sure I will sometime in the future.